Winston-Salem has some challenges ahead. Despite really having some great news recently in the national press, there are some challenges ahead. So Winston-Salem was just named one of the hottest housing markets in the country by Bankrate.com, and this comes on the heels of lots of other national recognition, like the number 41 place to live in the entire country, the 13th best place to start a business in the US, the number 1 city for cost of business, and one of the best places in the country to raise a family. Also, North Carolina was just named the best state in the country for business for the 2nd year in a row. And with all of this good news going on for not only North Carolina, but for Winston-Salem, there's been a lot of good news, but there are some challenges ahead. I made a video last year about Winston-Salem's goals for 2030. I'm gonna link that below. If you haven't watched it, you should. They set some really lofty goals for themselves. And despite all this good press, and if they wanna reach those 2030 goals, they do have some challenges ahead of themselves. So let's talk about them right now. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate. If that's you, my contact information is below. So the first challenge I want to talk about is the local economy. Winston-Salem just hosted an economic summit with business leaders from all over the city, and also had the North Carolina Secretary of Commerce there, Michelle Baker. And while she had a lot of praise for all the strides and good things that Winston-Salem is doing, she did directly challenge a lot of the employers in the room. She challenged leaders and employers to think differently, to find and attract talent, to hire many different job vacancies in all sectors. This includes white collar, blue collar, even seasonal jobs. She had direct challenges them to really start thinking outside of the box, pay more, better benefits of course, but also just to do other things to entice more people to come here to fill job vacancies. Reason why that's important is right now Winston-Salem is well below the national average in unemployment. Unemployment for the US is at 5.5%, and Winston-Salem has kind of been bouncing around in like the 3.4 to 3.7 range, so again, well below the national average for unemployment. And many companies are still having a hard time filling the job vacancies here. So the problem of attracting and retaining quality employees is a real thing that is going on right now, and it threatens to hamper the growth of the economy here. And if you've watched any of the coming soon videos that I make, you know the job market here is strong, with lots of small and medium-sized companies coming to Winston-Salem or expanding in the area because of everything that's going on here. But right now, the biggest employers in Winston-Salem are the school system, the healthcare industry in general, and also the financial services industry. Those are the top 3 employers by sector by a wide margin. I would love to see a larger company come here and bring a bulk of well-paying jobs all at one time to really start to fill some of the gaps that Winston-Salem's seeing in its employment scene. Now overall, the economy in Winston-Salem is very strong. It's well run, especially when you compare it to where I moved from. Median household income growth in the last 5 years has grown from under 50,000 to now over 60,000. And that's just been in the last 5 years. And we know affordability is a little bit of a struggle right now with the way cost of living has really increased the last couple of years. I'm gonna address that in just a minute. But overall, very encouraged how local leadership is handling this and really trying to do different things to attract and retain quality employees. Next challenge I want to talk about is housing, and it's a big challenge right now in Winston-Salem. And that's whatever type of housing you're looking for. If you're looking for a rental or for something to buy, housing here is a challenge. Right now, new construction is taking up a much larger percentage of sales here than it typically does. Winston-Salem in general is not a really big new construction market like you see in other states, like, Orlando or Texas and things like that. Doesn't usually have as much new construction as some of those other areas, but the increase in new construction sales as a percentage of total sales is kind of to be expected because of the lack of inventory that we've been experiencing here now for a couple of years. If you watch any of the market updates, you know the inventory situation here gets brought up a lot because it's the basics of supply and demand. Right now when I'm recording this, Forsyth County only has 436 active listings. For a balanced market, we need to have about 1,000. So we're way off from that. But even if we can get to, that 650 or 700 range, that would provide much greater room to breathe for people looking to buy. Rentals here are a similar fashion. The cost to rent a house or apartment in Winston-Salem has gone up over 25% in the last 2.5 years. So again, whether you're renting or buying, you're definitely feeling the squeeze in housing. That tends to drive prices up, which squeezes the affordability factor. Now, there is good news on there, is new construction is starting to pick up, and apartments are being developed throughout Winston-Salem, but specifically in the downtown and just outside of downtown areas. So there is some hope for that on the horizon. But right now, inventory is probably the biggest challenge in the housing market. And it's like that for most of the country, right? Nationwide, I just read something where we have a housing shortage of 4.3 million homes, meaning there are just far more buyers out there than there are people selling homes right now. So it's a nationwide problem. It's just amplified a little bit in Winston-Salem versus some other markets. Here's an interesting fact though. Well, I've noticed that prices are going up. One, they're not going up as fast as they used to, but two, the actual number of showings per listing is gone down. And sales have gone down as well, but that was kind of expected. But the number of showings going down is interesting. That tells me buyers are really being more choosy. They're willing to pay a premium for the right house, the right price, and the right location, but they are being choosy. They're not just offering willy-nilly like they did a couple years ago when there was just mass hysteria in the housing market. That's an encouraging sign that things are slowly starting to turn back to normal and get to just more of a less frantic pace. And all of that tells me that the huge price increases that we've seen these last couple years in Winston-Salem should be slowing down for the foreseeable future. And now I'm not saying prices are going to go down, because I definitely don't think they will. We're just not going to be seeing 10 and 15% appreciation per year. So yeah, there's problems in the housing market in Winston-Salem and challenges, but with new construction picking up, as rates slowly start to tick down, more people will list their house, and with apartment and rentals being developed, there is some hope on the horizon. I just think that it's going to be a slow thing. It's not something that's going to get fixed overnight, so it's going to be a problem that we're going to have to deal with for at least the near future. Next are infrastructure and amenities. That's a challenge for Winston-Salem as well. Supply chain issues and labor shortages have really halted or slowed a lot of development projects going on in Winston-Salem, and not only just for its amenities, but also for its general infrastructure. We've seen a lot of these things slow down, some of them even halted. Take the second phase of Innovation Quarter, or IQ2 as people were calling it. It looks like it's going to just be a fantastic development just outside the original Innovation Quarter with lots of green space, retail, residential, and commercial real estate available, but they had to replan and reprice that entire project as a result of what was going on during the pandemic, especially in the infrastructure phase of the project. So they had to really slow down and actually pause for a little bit on the infrastructure portion of Innovation Quarter 2. But the good news is they're getting back on track, and the infrastructure portion should be done, they're saying now, within about 6-ish months or so. So hopefully that continues to go well and that project gets back on track. That's just one example. There are a lot of other examples of similar projects all around the city. Not only just for current projects that are going on right now, but also shovel-ready projects that are just waiting for development to come in so we can start this expansion and development of the city's infrastructure. Similar to housing, it seems like we're starting to come out of this, but again, it's slow going. Not only with labor shortages and problems with that, but there is also still lingering supply chain issues that are just making everyday items you need for projects of that scope difficult or delayed to get. But good news, like I said, is we're coming out of that just slowly. In Winston, as far as amenities go, they do a great job for a city of its size with amenities. And I might get in a little bit of trouble here for this one, but I would love to see some new and exciting restaurants come to the area. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of places I like, but I would just love to see a little bit more variety or something new and just a couple more exciting and different things. I think that would do the city really well. And I mean, I like a cocktail. I'm in real estate, so I like a cocktail, but how many bars do we need here? Also on amenities, I would love to see more of the greenways get connected just to make a more contiguous path that people can take all throughout the city if they want to. And Winston-Salem does have a plan to make the city more walkable. I would just love to see that plan move forward a little bit quicker than it has, again, just to make the city more walkable and enjoyable. But like I said, Winston-Salem does a great job for amenities with being a city of its size, especially when you consider the outlying areas. There's just tons of stuff to do. So that's not a huge concern, but the infrastructure piece really is a challenge that they're going to have to face as they keep moving forward, especially if they want to hit those 2030 goals. If you need help buying or selling real estate anywhere in Winston-Salem or the Triad, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can email me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.